Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. No, Magic the Gathering Arena. Today is Wednesday, November 6th. We're trying out this new deck, which I'm frankly just too afraid to even play on standard rank. But I'll have to try my best deck back to get up to ranked silver 1. So we're trying out this new deck we built, and we're gonna just kind of burn through the news in the next hour, and then that'll be the end of the stream. Let's see. Yeah, just keep this. So first bit of news we have here: Gamasutra has Get a Job Simutronics is hiring a UI UX developer. I don't know Simutronics though. They're in Maryland Heights, Missouri. Let me do some research and let's figure out if we can find out what they, if anything, have made. So the website is here. Takes 2 clicks to get to it. Products. They made Siege, World War II, Siege, Titan Wars, Lara Croft Relic Run, One Epic Night, and Tiny Heroes. All games I've never even heard of, which is really crazy because you would have think I would have heard of at least Relic Run. I probably have heard of Relic Run and just don't remember it. Play that yet. So I'm gonna risk this, that he might be able to send a land back to my hand or make me draw and then make me discard. Although if he made me draw out on his turn, do I have to discard at the end of his turn? Like, why would that be the case? Yeah, that would be questionable, to say the least. That I would have to for some reason discard at the end of his discard phase. Right, do I want to block? Sure. We'll block this guy. What's the odds that he's got anything? Let's see. I am good to attack here, right? See, now we're getting it. Now I'm getting the feeling that there's actually some synergy going on here. What does this one do? Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, deals 1 damage to any token, any target. So if anything I hit dies, it would deal damage. So play this, and then if I was to do these 3, and then do red, that should still be playable. Why is that not playable? Because I'm 1 short. Alright, well then 3 damage that way. And then attack this way. Yeah, looks like we're gonna win here. Let's see. 2 damage to him. That brings back a bunch of characters for him. Put that on the field. Target a creature or planeswalker. Of course, I've showed my hand now in the fact that I have no cards. So if he can just build up these 2/2s with vigilance to attack several turns before I get something that I can play, I've still lost here. Potentially still lost. It really is going to come down to more just random luck. It's interesting, when the card effect is up here, it puts a shadow on the field. And sure. There's nothing else we can do but to sacrifice food. I'm doomed. Totally doomed. These guys have vigilance, there's no way to kill them. Baked into the pie would have been really useful during this point. Discards a card. Can make him discard cards, sure. But that's kind of all I can do. Or do 1 damage. So unless I can get something that does 6 damage, which there is 1 spell card I have that does 6 damage. Yep. Nope, just lost. Was I outplayed, or was there something wrong with my deck there? That's the question. I don't have an answer. But probably I'm being outplayed, because we're 2 hours in and I've only gotten 2 victories on play mode. That's gotta say something, right? Anyways, moving on. Gamasutra has an article. Little Witch Academia Chamber of Time has been relisted on Steam following an abrupt delisting. Now this game was like 50% liked and 50% disliked. It's a Netflix quote-unquote anime, and I don't think it really is an anime in the sense that I don't think it's targeting a Japanese audience, particularly in this case since it's a kids anime cartoon. It's not targeting a Japanese kids audience. Some people didn't like the game. It was just kind of bad and buggy, I think. It only was delisted on October 31st, so it had been up there. And it's a Bandai Namco thing. I think Bandai Namco are just idiots and do crazy things. They said the listing required an update, which is why it was temporarily removed. The publisher did not say specifically what needed to be updated. So let's see. You can see it is rated very positively, mostly positively in the last 30 days. See, I just don't think they know what they're doing, per se, Bandai Namco. Or Bandai Namco is just being being crazy, or insulting somebody in some way, or threatening somebody in some way. We did have a story that may be in no way related to this, where a publisher refused to hand over the rights to the listings of games to the developer once their contract had ended, which frankly just sounds like highway robbery and insane illegal activity to me. But maybe that's something that was going on in similar, but it being done the right way. Perhaps there was a developer-publisher transfer that happened in that one day of it being delisted. What I'm not saying is that it was delisted and then all the reviews disappeared and then all of a sudden all the reviews look a lot better than what they were before because they've gotten rid of all the day one reviews. It would be a weird negotiation tactic if Bandai Namco was trying to get a better cut to delist a game like that. It almost seems like the more realistic thought is that somebody started a flagging campaign for the game, flagged it on October 31st because it has a witch in the title, and it got pulled down by Steam because of that. I don't know, like that'd be silly. Like it would be silly if Steam, which is so hands off on other things, somehow automatically remove something from Bandai Namco without having somebody high up in charge looking at that. Let's see. Just keep on playing reds. Play this. Which is the best one to play right now? Probably this. Still. Yeah. Think that's gonna work fine. Gamer Sutra has an article here. Fabulous is investigating after Devolver Digital accuses its app of ripping off the game Gris. Now, Devolver Digital accusing somebody of ripping them off is a weird thing because Devolver Digital doesn't really have a lot of credibility since they post a lot of joke, troll, silly posts. So when they tweet out, somebody ripped off our game, do you take them seriously or do you go, oh, Devolver Digital could be in partnership with Fabulous. They could be promoting this Fabulous game. Or it could be legitimate. It's hard to tell. It's like there's no seriously button, unfortunately, on Twitter or social media when we really could use that. It's like we need a seriously in parentheses or in brackets. The real world seriously would be if they sued them, I suppose. But let's see. I guess there's no reason not to just sacrifice the food immediately. If we look here, here I believe is Gris, and here's Fabulous. This is a Twitter video. So yeah, one of these is Gris, and one of this. What's funny is they're saying it's a reminder to all devs to be mindful of big companies and brands stealing creative works from small studios. when I would say Fabulous, the Fabulous app, probably is much smaller than Devolver Digital is. And certainly I can see that I couldn't tell you which of these is the original and which is the others. There's total brand confusion here. Like, I don't know. Is Gris on this side or is Gris on that side? But honestly, why not just bring it to a lawsuit? That would have been better. So there's really not much more to say about that until the story gets some more details. The fact that Fabulous is saying we're investigating it probably is a weird thing to say, because either you stole it from it and you're stalling for time to figure out an excuse why you didn't steal from it, or you come out immediately and say, I absolutely know I didn't steal from it. This is just some kind of coincidence, or Devolver Digital is making a false accusation based on just cherry picking images from our game and making them look very similar to their game. Yep. And it's always a question amongst artists, how much can be influence and how much is just straight up stealing. And let's just kill this guy. Actually, let's undo that. Let's put 5 damage to target creatures. Alright. 5 damage, pay adamant. And then 3 damage to any target on the Spectre. And then attack. See, Gamma Sutra has an article. Hong Kong protesters shine but don't quite spark at BlizzCon. I guess that's how they want to present it, which I don't know why they would do that. Yeah, the protesters at BlizzCon really can only do so much as to embarrass Blizzard. It really had no chance to ever do anything else. It really never had any intention to do anything else. So it's not surprising that they accomplished their goal, and that is that. They exposed the hypocrisy. Even the Giant Bombcast talked about how the CEO of Blizzard was saying he was apologizing while not doing anything to change the punishments, so that they're still inflicting the banishment. So his words were very hollow, and while he was saying that, he was actively making political speech on the platform, which is what he is complaining about. Tap 1 creature or planeswalker. Just submit 0. Because he was wearing a Rainbow Blizzard logo pin while he was giving that first speech, and they used Tracer for LGBT promotion. So they're actively promoting human rights speeches. So their words feel extremely hollow and disingenuous. And people held in poor regard because of that, and held Activision Blizzard in general in poor regard. And next BlizzCon, if there is another BlizzCon, I imagine there will still be a few protests. People are in general pissed at Activision Blizzard for many reasons, and a lot of people have had enough. I did, on a side note, see some gameplay of Diablo 4, and it looks like it is kind of just what Diablo 3 should have been type game. Updated graphics of Diablo 2. It doesn't look particularly any more interesting than Diablo 3 would be, and I don't think it has the relevancy or that there really is any reason why you would want to play an Activision Blizzard game anymore. Protests can really only bring about like coverage, people seeing that people are upset, getting more people informed. If you go any further than that, then you're into the code word of violent protest or rioting or just rebellion, and for a company, I don't think there's a necessary reason to do that, unless you're going to make the argument that we should just like severely punish all rich people, which I wouldn't be upset with that idea either. Right. So how does this work? So we do that, then we put that, let's see, there. And then, do I have enough mana to do this? I don't think I do. Yeah. So next, all attack, next, in the turn. So yeah, the boycott should still go. Like, many different reasons, all to the same action, in my opinion, as far as Activision Blizzard. I have no desire to stop my personal boycott of Activision Blizzard at this point. If anything, it just makes it financially easier on me now that I don't really feel a need to buy any of the Warcraft, Starcraft, what's the other one? Warcraft, Starcraft, Diablo, yeah. I don't feel a need to buy any of those games or hope that there's a remaster of any of those games that comes to Steam that I could play. If there were some major changes that happened at Blizzard and then they remastered some of their older games to Steam, maybe at that point I would consider doing something, but alright. Three damage to target opponent. Do 1 damage. And play this. Boom, do I have enough to do this? Yes, I do. Do that. Yep. There's so many games from the past that I would like to cover, but frankly it is just a effective way to save time too, by determining that certain companies don't deserve your money and don't deserve your attention. I will say that I imagine Activision Blizzard has now weathered the storm well enough that people will mostly forget, and it will be until Activision Blizzard releases some new announcement or new game that people will have anything new to say there. It's taking forever. Next we have a game on Steam here called Guildmaster Story, which looks like it's a half visual novel and half match 3 game. So I imagine it probably is just a match 3 game. Looks like they've just taken what is probably a cell phone game and ported it. The graphics don't look terrible though. $8.49 is probably a little too expensive. It's discounted to that. And then 13 achievements with numbers and English and full audio. I'll be generous and put this on the follow list, but almost certainly I wouldn't really play a match 3 game. Not another one. Not something that's not gonna do something different. Right. Put that on the field. And then put that on the field. Gamasutra has a video here from GDC, Game Preservation Lessons Learned on EA's Biggest Sports Games. If you're interested in that. I imagine EA's biggest sports games in particular would be, well, the more modern ones at least, would be very challenging to preserve, as they are these live services things. Speaking of boycotts, we're still kind of boycotting 2K and Gearbox, but TechRaptor has an article here, well I am, Gearbox Publishing to bring 3 games to retail, World of Warships, so let's see, they'll get physical box editions, Risk of Rain 2, World of Warships Legends Firepower Deluxe Edition, and The Dead 2. None of those games are particularly interesting to me. So do this. And then do this. Apparently this guy can't activate his abilities either. So yeah, I don't know if you probably should boycott Gearbox Publishing in the same that you would boycott Gearbox. At a certain point I may just have to make a graph here of boycott games. Companies are getting boycotted for this reason, or this reason, and we'll put it on like a timeline, and then we'll determine whether your voice would even be heard. I guess the question would also boil down to, do you boycott something because of your personal beliefs and you don't want to give money to somebody, or are you boycotting something because you want a message to be heard? So if you're boycotting, say, Jane Fonda, for instance, for something she did 10 years ago, is she really going to hear that message? Probably not. That was... So if it's just about sending a message and it's not about, you don't care if you fund it or fund the company or not, then maybe there's a difference there. Also, the problem in the video game world is, since all the companies are scumbag companies, at a certain point I'm just not buying any games from any company if I'm boycotting all of them, and I can't do that as a video game critic. I can exclude 2 or 3 of the major companies, but that's about it. Now for something completely different. TechRaptor has an article, Super Lesbian Animal RPG demo gets a major update. What is this on? Let's see. What game? Is this on Steam? What is this game? Keep up with the game on Twitter and Tumblr. And it's a Patreon. And the demo's on itch.io. Well, this screams like a SJW game. Like, you don't... I suppose I could get into a big rant about segregation here, and having a game that is so preachy that nobody really wants to play it, and we've seen that. Dream Dad Dating Simulator, for instance, I think walked that line, very very close to that line, but didn't quite cross it because it had good graphics and a good story, a good gameplay, but it's getting a little weird there, frankly. It's better just to tell a good story and have characters naturally be gay if you want them to be gay, but also amongst a real world representation in which not everyone is gay, because it's hard then to realistically approach any of the conflict that might occur in a world where some people are gay and some people aren't, if you've just gotten rid of all the straight people. I mean, that's just bad storytelling. Let's see. There is something wrong with this deck, but I have no idea what it is. Also, TechRaptor covering that game is unnecessary. There's thousands of itch.io games. None of them deserve any coverage, frankly. In my opinion, I would not cover anything from itch.io, because those are small indie experimental games. That's what they are in my eyes. And if people are on itch.io, they see them, and if you're not on itch.io, then you don't want to see them, probably. Probably have too much land. Like, I really do have too much land, don't I? Yeah. Because I've played several games now where I've had more land than I needed. Even though a lot of this isn't actually a terrible card. Because add any mana of any color at that point. Moving on, Gamma Sutra has an article here. Industry veterans form diverse and inclusive studio. And again, SJW. Man, we had a nice month there, didn't we? There was a nice month in which there was no SJW BS happening in the video game world, or a very minimal amount of it. People were talking about more important things, or at the very least doing things that would actually be useful and impactful, instead of just preaching to an audience that at least a large percentage of which are tired of hearing it or don't want to hear it at all. This new studio is called Brassline Entertainment. It's co-funded by Manveer Hare, Brian, let's just show these names, these are crazy names. Manveer Hare, Brian Dabby Smith, and Rashad Raddick. I haven't heard of any of these names. They have decades of experience on working on a variety of games, including Sleeping Dogs, not Sleepy Dogs, Fallout 3, The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, Wolfenstein, and Mass Effect 3. So I think all of these are ZeniMax owned. These would have all been ZeniMax employees, where Sleeping Dogs would have been a Ubisoft employee. So a bunch of ZeniMax employees have gone out to make a new studio, which isn't terrible. They're keen to create franchises that expand through the medium of games, film, TV, novels, and podcasts. Really. And the debut title is called Corner Wolves, a fictional mixed media project that will follow a group of Harlem residents in the mid-90s as their lives are impacted and intertwined with the war on drugs. Alright, this really sounds crazy. Maybe they can pull it off. Maybe there's something there, but to me it sounds like they are going down some strange pathways for their first venture alone. The quote here is, "Our goal is to diversify the video game industry one fictional universe at a time, expand them into other forms of entertainment, such as film, TV, comics, and podcasts." Yeah, so you can only have one master in any endeavor. So if you're going to try and make something that's good for video games, it won't be good for film. If you try to make something good for film, it won't be good for TV. If you try to make something good for comics, it won't be good for podcasts. And if you try to make something good for podcasts, it won't be good for any of the other things. Like there might be a series of steps you can take to create a cinematic universe in a sense, in the sense that you could have a podcast where people talk about developing a comic and then have the comic tell the story, and then have the comic eventually adapted into a TV series that is eventually, if successful, adapted into a movie, a film, and then the film at that point, if successful, could be then adapted to a video game. Although, do you really need to do any of that to make a video game, or can you just make a video game? And you really can just make a video game. There's no need to go through all those different steps. In all fairness, if you took the entirety of the Witchblade comic book series and tried to make a video game around it using all that pre-existing, pre-written content, it kind of works. Or a better example is like Batman. Like Batman is a good foundation to make video games off of. But do any of the video games, the Batman video games, need the Batman movies or any Batman TV series, of which there's been a couple of awful ones, or any kind of podcast or comics? Not really. If you just made a video game with a superhero like Batman, it would still work. And what's funny here is they say they're diversifying the video game industry one fictional universe at a time, which means just tokenism, doesn't it? That they're going to have token fictional characters in their games to show diversity without actually having even a commitment in their launch statement to have diversity in their hiring, or at least equal opportunity in their hiring, which they're required by law, but that doesn't, if there's no commitment there, then that's easily worked around. Let's see. 5 damage to target creature is too much. 3 damage to target opponent. And then discard 2 cards. I think I just lost. Yeah, I just straight up lost. Because he could have attacked me either way. I would have had to kill these ginger brutes way earlier, and I'm not paying attention enough, obviously. OpenCritic has an article here. It seems the entire Pokedex for Pokemon Sword and Shield has been leaked. If you're interested in that. So here's like pictures of all the Pokedex. That's a small number of Pokemon if that is all they've got. Like, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 rows that aren't full. So let's just go 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, maybe 80? 94. I was off. 81 new species, as well as 13 Galarian forms, which makes 94. That is an incredibly small amount of this guy's just screwing with me, I think, at this point. Either that or this guy's forgotten that he can win. Yeah. Not even the original 300. Now, or at least the original 150 on red or blue. Yeah, that seems like Pokemon's just gotten lazy and we need a different company now. It's strange in a weird way that Nintendo allowed Game Freak and the Pokemon Company to get lazy on the number of Pokemon in the game. It's just crazy. Well, let's see. I'm not even really focused on this tech rebuild too much, but let's see. We need to get rid of, I think, a couple of these here. We probably just need to bring in more people. More cards. But yeah, I would kind of rather just play standard ranked with the black deck right now than continue to play this deck, which is losing like crazy. So we might switch over after this next game. So I'm trying to adjust things. If I had more gold, if I wasn't playing free to play, I would play another draft. I'd get more cards. I would start over and say, let's see how this really works. Is there a solution here? Just start. Was that the right move? Next we have a game on Steam here called NZ Village, which looks like it's a low effort, top down, like prison architect, except for it's a zombie apocalypse type game. $11.99, third party EULA, a bunch of languages, Thai and Chinese makes me suspect it might be a Chinese game, might be a cheap Thai game. Nothing special enough here to interest me. This is the guy that will get a counter every time he attacks, so, or every time he does damage. So if I can get him on the first turn or second turn, he has a chance of being useful. But if I can't, there's a decent chance he's not useful. 3 damage to any target. This is a lifelink character. Maybe I should have played that actually, because then that could have defeated that. That was a mistake. Well, this doesn't want to load. We have an article here from a different site. Steam VR 1.8 automatically selects audio and improves Vive Cosmos support. So they're still working on Steam Link VR, which should be really a surprise to nobody. See, Gamatsu has an article here. No More Heroes 3 is 35% to 45% complete. Has a bigger open world than No More Heroes 1. New trailers coming either this year or early 2020. I don't know if you really needed much of a bigger open world than No More Heroes 1. It's kind of questionable how much of No More Heroes 1 and what percentages of the elements of No More Heroes 1 are in No More Heroes 3. Because if there's a bunch of mini games that you have to do twice as many mini games to grind before you can go and do the next boss to defeat, that's gonna kind of suck. Whereas if there were longer levels that you had to run through before you could well, yeah, there's nothing I can do here. If there's longer levels you have to run through before you can fight the boss, that might be alright. Let's see. There we go. I probably could have set those up to attack also, come to think of it. So if there's twice as many bosses, that's great. If there's twice as many mini games in No More Heroes 3, that's probably not what I'd want. Let's see. That's pretty much all I can do. If there's twice as many collectibles, let's see, deal 3 damage here. And all attack here. Should be fine there. So I would say No More Heroes 3, particularly considering how the No More Heroes side game was garbage. it is a game that would really need some reviews before I'd be willing to play it. And I'm not even sure it's coming to PC. I'm not even sure 1 and 2 are on PC, so it may be a Switch exclusive, and if it is, that just even more makes it less likely that I'd ever play it. Red. And then all attack. What does this do? Three damage to this guy. I hadn't realized that this banner actually counts as a spell, so when I play it, it buffs up this character. Wow, so like the third victory on this deck so far. We're still getting XP, so we should still play. Let's see, next we have a game on Steam here called Meteor Fall Crumpet's Tale, which looks like it is a card game of some sort, although it seems almost animated specifically for cell phones, but it's very nicely animated and polished. So I'm willing to put this on the follow list and see what the reviews say. It does seem like it's kind of maybe a match 3 experience with just a lot of RPG elements. So right now it's discounted for $6.39. It says it has English full audio. Yeah, looks interesting enough. Has this developer made anything else? Nope. Does just this epic edition. Yeah. And going forward, anything that looks Asian in any way, I'm going to look at every screenshot first, just so we don't have, although in fairness, the one that did have the uncensored nudity in the screenshots on Steam was not an anime looking game. It was actually just a more Western animation style. So here we have a game on Steam that's just a bunch of Asian characters. Looks like it's probably a low effort RPG. Yeah, maybe has a little bit more polish here, but it's probably Chinese. If I was to guess, free to play, single player, Chinese, yeah. So, take it for what it is, I suppose. Gotta just play this. Okay, I have no other options. You just played a bunch of spells to counter something I was just playing to get rid of. Alright, we still have to do this. Gamatsu has Famitsu review scores for issue 1614. And Hat in Time came out. I didn't know it was just now coming out for the Switch. They gave it 32 out of 40. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, 34 out of 40. Death Stranding, 40 out of 40. So this is probably the 4th or 5th 40 out of 40s Famitsu has ever given. Perfect score. So the Japanese audience certainly gets Death Stranding. There's At least the Famitsu fan base seems to get it and like it. Let's see. Let's do that. The other scores, they have my time in Porsche, which is 29 out of 40, so that's not too good. A game called Strange Telephone, which is 30 out of 40, and Barsaria Collection. Yeah, 32 out of 40 is like average and kind of good, but once you start getting below 30, or 31, you're starting to get somewhat bad reviews. But yeah, I would, in all fairness though, wonder aloud, did Famitsu give a perfect score to Death Stranding as just a way of either supporting Kojima or sending a message to Konami that they hate Konami? I think for a Japanese video game review magazine that's highly well regarded, though, sending a message and not giving your true opinions would be a dishonest and probably dishonorable thing to do. So I have to take them at their word and assume that they really think that Death Stranding is a perfect game. Is it coming to PC? I think it is, but maybe not on Steam anytime soon or ever. So if I did want to play Death Stranding, which heck, at some point I could see myself doing that. This guy's doing way better than I am. Yeah, I can see myself playing it. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article. Death's End Request 2 launches February 13th, 2020 in Japan. The Compile Hard RPG sequel gets a release date. Another JRPG game. Because I'm just getting everything handed to me. Obviously I've lost. Is it now that I've got one too few lands? It might be. Like, that's so crazy that you would have to go in here and say, let's add one land back in. But it does seem like that's exactly the case. And so I have to admit it. It's slightly premature, but not really that premature for me to say I like the way Hearthstone dealt with mana way better than Magic does. I hate the lands. I would prefer to play a style of gameplay that got rid of them. There's no reason for them to keep printing lands. Honestly, if anybody ever started putting any real environmental pressure on Magic, that they should stop printing the land cards in the amounts that they're printing them. But it would be so easy to just have a side deck of lands. In those lands, you can have 15 cards. You draw one land each from the top of your side deck, and you play it, and that's it. And then you could have some cards that come out and potentially have some new effects based on that land deck. And that might be cool, but just having land in your regular deck and having scenarios even be possible where you're going to just potentially not have the cards you need to play for a very long time it's crazy. But it could also be that there's just some strategy there I don't understand. Yeah, almost certainly there are strategies here. So I have like 3 spell cards. I really don't want to play any of them. And he doesn't really want to play any of them either because, like, as soon as he puts a thing on the field, he knows there's something I can do to it. Let's see, next we have a game on Steam here called Flycatcher, which looks like a student project in which you are catching flies. Does this require VR? Yes, it is. So it's a free student project where you play as a frog catching flies, which is almost certainly going to crick your neck very quickly. You're just going to hurt yourself. This is a dangerous game in my opinion, to have a heavy VR headset on and heavily encourage people to go back and forth. If it doesn't hurt you physically, it's going to hurt you mentally with the motion sickness. Let's see. Let's start. 5. Can we do this? 5 damage and discard 2 cards. You destroyed my creature in the process, darn it. I can do 9 damage, but I would need to do 7 more. See, Gamatsu has an article here. Coffee Talk launches January 29th, 2020 for Switch and PC, January 30th for PS4 and Xbox One. A game about listening to people's problems and serving warm drinks. Might be an interesting game. Might be a pointless game. It's going to be very visual novel-y with just a slightly different concept instead of slightly different goal than the normal date somebody or fall in love with somebody or just improve your relationships with somebody. Let's see. Double your life total target opponent, then loses half their life. Alright, well, you know, you want to do that? How about we do this? And then, do we have enough here to cast that? Next we have a game on Steam called Neo, which looks like a top-down twin-stick shooter game. There might be something more to this. The polish on the visuals looks pretty nice. In a funny way, this is basically all Diablo is. So I've rejected a lot of games that are basically just what Diablo is. This is English not supported, $9.99, Japanese only. That's a shame, but I suppose. What can you do? See, next we have a game on Steam called Super Novel Collector, which is just Doodle Jump, it looks like. Cell phone game ported, looks like garbage. $4.99 discounted, way too expensive. And of course not making it to the fall list. still may have a little bit too much mana. Like, the fact that I'm going through so many turns probably is an indicator of that. And I just need more characters. I've been sticking with the same cards, putting more of the same cards that I've picked in, but honestly I need to go back and find just a 1 mana red creature that somewhat synergizes with any of this. I'm not gonna run out of cards anytime soon, and neither is he. So this is probably a game that they would just be more efficient to concede than continue playing. This is funny because this might actually be an example of me doing good in Magic, and I'm just not recognizing it because I am continuing. That's the thing that's still happening here, is I'm still surviving. So he's got plenty of mana, he's got 4 cards. There's got to be something he could do other than just summon a 1/1 creature. Next we have a game on Steam called Wizards of Brandel, which looks like a RPG Maker game. Doesn't look terrible by any means, but it just looks like a old school RPG. $11.69 discounted. English and Japanese, no audio in it, so you would certainly have to do a lot of reading on top of things. I don't see recognizable publisher or developer, so I don't see a reason why that would be a thing. Probably the wrong way to play that. I probably should have just done 3 damage. So if he's got no defense against this creature, but he does have the constant defense in which he can summon more of these guys. I mean, he's got plenty of defense. This next game is Tag Nudity, and so let's just double check. Alright, so we have on Steam Conception Plus Maiden of the 12 Stars, which this guy is destined to give birth to star children, is how I understand it. It's like a dumb, stupid concept that sticks to its core cliches well enough that people seem to like it enough that it got an anime, and now it's getting another game. You can see though it's negative right now, so I'll put this on the fall list, but we'll see how well it works. I think you probably could guess that people are just getting baited, for lack of a better term, into buying it on this concept without putting in some real thought and going, yeah, if this is a cheesy, silly concept like this based on like a guy effectively having to get laid for all of humanity to survive, it's such a wish fulfillment story, such a dumb story. Obviously nobody's going to put any effort into the game to make it good, into the story, or I don't think the anime is particularly good either. I wouldn't be surprised if this all started as an adult product and has then for some reason been ported over from an adult product into a just rated M for mature product. So the whole reason the game might be getting negative reviewed right now on Steam is because it's censored in some way, and there might be an uncensorship, a decensor patch that drastically changes what you get in the game. This has been an incredibly long game to end up in the same place. Like, I don't get why it's taken so long. Just playing, either he's playing extremely careful, which is crazy because we're not playing ranked, or he's just goofing around. Like, how many cards did he manage to exile? 5 cards. So, like, a massive amount of control here to get a lot of things removed, a lot of things exiled, a lot of things sent to the graveyard. So, is that what you call a tempo deck? Is that what you call a control deck? Probably a control deck, if I was to guess. Okay. So, another mountain. That gives me 2 things. So let's find something that would be useful. There we go. Put a couple more characters in it. A couple more minions. Next we have a game on Steam here called Parcel Panic, which looks like a low effort asset flip racing game. Discounted to $5.39, English, French, German, and Spain Spanish. Nothing there of interest. Do I want to re-roll here? Yeah, I think that's fine. We have about 10 more things to cover, and then we'll be done for this stream. Next we have a game on Steam here called Epic Fun, which looks like it's an on-rails shooter, I guess, for lack of a better term. But it requires VR, but honestly it looks better than some other on-rails shooter I've seen on VR. It also seems like there's a shooting gallery function where you're not on rails. And yeah, there's a lot of variety of content here. So I'm going to put this on the follow list. It's free to play, but then you have to buy each thing for $23.32 if you're going to buy all of it. Which is an interesting idea. And what do you get with just the free to play content would be my question. Because if you get nothing with the free to play thing, and it's just immediately you have to buy something, then you're going to get terrible reviews, obviously. If you get something, just even one roller coaster and the shooting gallery, then I think that would be enough to justify I think that'd be enough to justify potentially thinking about buying more if you enjoy the free level. We're just gonna go on auto pass. Gematsu has an article here. Capcom's Yoshinori Ono on Deep Down. It's not been completely given up on. There's not much I can say about it, but if you've noticed, we've kept the trademark, and it means we haven't given up on it completely. I don't even know what Deep Down is. It was supposed to be A free-to-play action RPG first announced at the PlayStation 4 reveal in 2013. So it's a game that hasn't been completely given up on, in the sense that we got the trademark, so we'll sell something with the name deep down. But it probably will be nothing like what you expect. Attack. There we go. I think we've got it. I think we may have a better strategy now. I think we already talked about Insomniac Games hiring a lighting artist. Insomniac Games being the developer of what? I know it's something. Stormland, Spider-Man, Marvel, Seedling. Yeah. Stormland is the new game that they're working on, that they're hoping will be a big success, and I really don't have a lot of faith it will be. Play this. Play this. And then next. And then all attack. Now when this one does damage, that's not a non-creature spell. It's the other character here. Not that character, the other fire thing. Everything, all the art looks like fire things. You're gonna have to get really good, I guess, at learning what the art looks like. Moving on, Gamasutra has an article. Zordix secures 1.4 million in funding and acquires Dimfrost Studio. Motor racing developer Zordix has acquired fellow game developer Dimfrost Studio, the Swedish team behind the in-development Bramble the Mountain King. So, neither one of those games I've ever heard of. Major Nelson said there were some sales for Aris modems on Amazon.com, at least in the United States. So if you need a cable modem on sale, yeah, seems like Amazon does have that going on. That was like the first time we've won just because we've overwhelmed the opponent, which is a good feeling. And it seems like TechRaptor, they had an article where Psionics drops info about the Rocket League blueprints. There he is. Took several reloads for it to work. Psionics drops info about Rocket League blueprints. Loot box replacement coming next month. If you want the exact details, check out this article. I'll leave it at that. Alright, so this would need one red and then two others, which means we can get that all on the field. So we're good to just let this be our first hand and not mulligan. Gamasutra has an article here. Niantic opens Niantic Creator Program to fund and support AR-minded developers. Okay. So Pokemon Go developer Niantic trying to potentially keep their foot in the door of relevancy by having something AR related somewhat associated with their name, and trying to promote the idea of AR games being a thing outside of the small handful of ones that have been successful. TechRaptor has an article here. Black Sad was accidentally launched a week early in Europe, which, okay. Like, a lot of coverage for this game, Black Sad, which I suspect is not something that too many people are going to really be interested in playing. We want this guy on the field. That's what we want first. Then we want to play the other one. Whenever the opponent is dealt non-combat damage, which he may do to himself, honestly. Not destroying my creatures? Is it that hard? Let's see. TechRaptor has an article here. Dark Souls mod reaches the next level with custom maps. Okay. So you could now have custom maps in Dark Souls with this mod. Yay. Honestly, I guess that is something you probably would have wanted. Like, undoubtedly, you totally would want custom maps in the way of... How does this work? Okay, we do this and do this. And then attack here. And I've lost. But did I lose because I played badly, or did I lose just because I got outplayed? May have just been outplayed. Game of Sutra has an article here. Supercell scraps upcoming title Rush Wars after failing to find the fun. Okay, so kind of even better happy that I stopped playing Clash Royale. At that point, like, yeah, there's, yeah, that. I don't think I want to play another game, so let's just cover the rest of this news and be done for this stream. TechRaptor has an article. EA announces new Origin Access games for November. Need for Speed Star Wars, Need for Speed Heat, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and Tropico 6, Mutiny Road Zero, Sinner Sacrifice for Redemption, Tacoma, and For the King. Plus several other games here that you can see. Shanti Half Genie Hero. I believe Origin Access, though, you lose access to the games once you stop paying, which is definitely not how I would want it to spend money. Is renting things. Next we have a game on Steam called Useless Box the Game. We've seen this Useless Box as kind of a meme on YouTube as people build real ones. When you make a fake one in Unity, though, it really stops being too interesting. And yes, this does look completely uninteresting. $7.99 with no discount. I would not recommend anybody buy that. I wouldn't recommend people buying a real useless box. If you build one, then you've accomplished something. If you're buying one, you're just wasting your money. Next, we have a game called Car Rumble, which sounds like it's a car game, player versus player, in a wrestling ring. At least sometimes. Well, I'm sure this seems like this is multiplayer focused, so I'm not going to play it. Free to play with in-app purchases, online multiplayer. Doesn't really strike me as something I would want to play when you have something better like Rocket League already existing. It's not a terrible thought. It's not like a low effort game. It's just something that doesn't seem like it would interest me or many people. Next, we have a game on Steam called A Year of Rain, which is mixed reviews as a real-time strategy game. Player versus player. It's early access, 1999, single player and multiplayer, with a third-party account requirement. And let's see. It is a Warcraft 3 clone, but much more diverse. And apparently that's a negative thing. Well, I think I'm gonna just remove this from the following list because we've seen enough here. Oh, it's from Daedalic Entertainment, so I'm gonna leave it on fall list, but it doesn't seem like they're doing too well at the start. They must have relabeled themselves as early access, and that's why it showed up again. Next we have a game on Steam called Anonymous Player, which looks like just a low effort dark screenshots game, or RPG Maker game. $4.49. Yeah, there's nothing here of interest. English and Italian. Let's see. Tech Raptor has an article here. The last Nintendo Wii game may have launched with Just Dance 10. Apparently they had a long contract in which they were releasing games on the Wii well past its prime. Or perhaps they were still selling Just Dance games on the Wii. Tech Raptor has an article. Neo 2 open beta sticks with what works. This is a preview of the open beta. Don't need to get hyped on Neo 2 since I didn't even play Neo 1, but even if you did, it's going to be more of the same. Gamma Sutra has an article. Get a job, Free Range Games is hiring a senior engineer. That's in Sausalito, California. And let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Marbles on Stream. Marbles on Stream. Yeah, this looks like just an asset flip Unity game. Doesn't look particularly interesting. It's free to play with in-app purchases. Yeah, I'm pretty much not going to cover any free-to-play games ever. OpenCritic has an article. The ukulele developer Playtonic confirms their next game is not Banjo-Kazooie, but instead recent rumors have begun to swirl to indicate Playtonic may have been bought by Microsoft and assigned to revitalize Banjo-Kazooie, which many folks in Derby, England-based studio once worked on at Rare before they departed to form Playtonic. Quote here, while we'd love to work with the bear and bird again, the ball is in our court. We're sorry if this isn't what you wanted to hear from us. So yeah. Ukulele, not a game I liked. Fair reviews, sits at 72 average and is recommended by 56% of critics, and I didn't like Ukulele. And Ukulele Impossible Layer, better reviews, so I imagine they would make another ukulele game like the Impossible Layer, and if they could fix their mindset that they need to have extremely difficult sections in their game, that would be nice. OpenCritic has the same article here about Sonic's detailing its loot box replacement blueprint system. We don't need to cover that twice. And let's see. 2 more games. We have Beautiful Bricks, so we're still getting a Brick Breaker clones. Although this one does seem like it has multiple players playing at the same time. $7.19. Single player with local multiplayer. I don't know if you could get even 2 people to want to play the same game of Brick Breaker. though. It's a pretty boring game. It was interesting when it first came out, when games barely had any motion or action, but that was decades ago. Now it's silly. I kind of do like the idea of a dragon and having to defeat a creature with a brick breaker thing, but I feel like something like Wizorb is still probably a better twist on that concept. And then we have not Mario Kart, but Garfield Kart Furious Racing, which there's almost certainly been at least one or two other Garfield kart racing games on Steam that have not gone well. So I'm going to put this on the follow list. This might be the right thing. Let's see, what do we have here on this bundle? Garfield Kart, which I apparently already own. Let's see what the reviews are on that. Very positive. Okay. So it's a sequel, I guess. Okay, well, I guess I'll put it on the wish list then. So yeah, Garfield Kart might be the Mario Kart clone that Steam needs. And that brings me to the Humble Bundle store, which doesn't look like there's any new game bundle. Yeah, it doesn't look like there'll be a new game bundle for at least 5 days. And then news has been so slow that there's no reason to assume that anything new will have happened during this stream. So that's going to be it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.